Hello, my dear friend, and welcome to the Spiritually Engineered Podcast, where we take a deep dive into the human experience from a spiritual perspective. Come on in, and I invite you to stay. Have you ever considered play? Well, there are many ways to play. And when it comes to living life day to day, play is such a vital ingredient when it comes to the grind. If you're that type of person, if you're about that life, or perhaps someone is just trying to survive and doing the best you can to just make things work so that you can have somewhat a semblance of a living. Wherever you are, just want you to know that it's okay. And we're all doing the best we know how. For me, I do my best to engage with play. Like, how can I invite more play into my life? I think about my inner child that wants to express, that wants to experience, that wants to enjoy, that wants to have fun. Like, this is within all of us. Just because we've grown up doesn't mean our inner child has disappeared. We still have that inner child within each of us, the childlike spirit. And I think that energy, that spirit is so vital. And what I see in living, moving, embodying balance, I think that's what the feeling is for me, my childlike part when I'm in that balanced state. Lately, I've been getting into some play in the form of music. Now, mind you, I'm not the most music person ever. However, I do appreciate musicians and those who, whatever instrument they play, I admire and respect those people because the amount of commitment and practice to get to where they are and how they perform and wherever I see them at that moment, that's work. That just doesn't just show up like that. Like 1, 2, 3. Okay, I want to play the piano, and all of a sudden, I'm good type of thing. But that's not how it works. All gotta be humble beginnings. Like, I know I have my humble beginnings of other stuff that I'm just like sounded pretty terrible, and now I'm like much better. And I remember. One of the things I've always thought about, playing was the piano. I definitely love listening to piano pieces, from like lo-fi to even electronic tracks that incorporate some piano melodies. Like, it's something about it that really adds depth and emotion. I remember as far as music is concerned, I remember back in a couple of years ago, I got into some guitar, playing the acoustic guitar, and I still have my guitar. I just haven't been playing as much, or I just stopped playing and decided to do other things. So it almost kind of felt like it was a phase, but I still have it, and I might get back into it. But playing the guitar, like I said, to do the work to play an instrument is challenging. But I think the key thing is that I'm learning is that it's a lot of fulfillment. So not so much as the guitar playing, but for your boy, it's for me lately playing the harmonica. And I came across my little blue friend, the harmonica, when I was just walking out and about in the neighborhood, which was part of my routines, especially on certain days after I'm at the gym doing my exercises. I just go out for a walk and be out there in nature, disconnect from tech, detox, and just be involved and observe the world around me. Connect with people, even if it's just like eye contact, or if I happen to have a conversation with somebody, it just happens. But this time around, I went to this little science store, and I like to visit it from time to time in my neighborhood because they always have a lot of interesting stuff, and they'll swap out like a certain sections of the store are like seasonal stuff. So depending on where we are, they'll have different items and stuff, and so that's part of the reason why I check it out to see, what do they have here? Anything from like DIY stuff to like crafts to like are things like related to also to like um, geology, biology, because again the science piece to it. But it's all like in such a cutesy way. There's crafts and all kinds of things that are related to it. And that's how of all places I found the harmonica there, which I'm not necessarily surprised actually. And so I've been practicing lately playing with the harmonica, and that's actually been an experience playing it, which by the way I've been enjoying a whole lot. Even like when I'm playing it, I find myself laughing at myself, or laughing with myself rather, just because I think the harmonica is kind of funny, but I also think it's pretty cool. Just like hearing the sounds and learning to, at least with this particular harmonica, what I love about it is that it comes with a booklet, and it's very thin, but kind of there's this individual on this booklet that gives his approach and method to teaching harmonicas. It's literally a harmonica for beginners. So that's why I was intrigued by it. And I'm like, you know, there was a part within me that wanted to explore some ways of expressing myself creatively. And when I saw this harmonica, I'm like, okay, maybe I can work with that. Because for me, I'm at a place where like, how can I express myself with that creativity? How can I, beyond just that traditional way of like art and making stuff, but like, how can I express that shows up in many ways. There's no right or wrong ways. Like, how do I express whatever I'm feeling? In some ways, it's like using the means here, material means, to express what's going on within myself, my inner world. This is why I think when it comes to living spiritually, it's all about working with living in both worlds, the spiritual and the material world. I always heard it said like when it comes to like ascension or spirituality, it's like, oh, we must forego material things. It's like, no, you don't, in my opinion. I think we just need to work with it and not become so attached or become so possessed by my possessions. That's just it. And that's really the tiny grain of truth of those who talk about that. Because I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. So I look at things as just like from that spiritual perspective, as all encompassing. But that's something that's come up in that area that I wanted to just kind of address for a moment, because just a little perspective there, a little treat there for you. So the harmonica playing, that's just is I love it, because like I'm finding myself enjoying the process. I'm just tuning in as I'm playing it, and then checking in with myself on how I feel about it. And that's an important thing to do as well. That practice of checking in with myself, because I know I could always do that more often. And instead, I'm just dive myself head deep into all this stuff, have these feelings and all this stuff, but then I'm not like, oh shoot, I need to look out for myself type of thing. This is like relationship 101 with the self, which is equally as important, if not greater, I would argue, than all the other relationships. But that doesn't say that the others don't matter, or that they don't forget other people. It's just from that perspective that my relationship with myself affects my relationship with other people, type of thing, from that perspective. And so, looking at it from different angles and regrouping this experience with the harmonica, one of the things that I enjoy absolutely about playing the harmonica is the fact that I'm fully immersed in the experience. Now, with the exception of like I have the harmonica in one hand, practicing and learning, and then I have the booklet that came with the harmonica, and I'm learning the notes according to this author here in his teaching. And so, aside from like kind of switching between okay, play and then read, play, other than that, I'm like, when I'm playing it, I'm actually there. With like technology nowadays, for me, I can easily find myself distracted and caught up in all this stuff that's going on the internet, on my phone, tablet, my TV. It's like all these mediums that can be used for good, and I'm not judging them for because they're neutral. All these mediums they're neutral. There's nothing about them is bad. Just like how like looking at social media, for example, that in itself is not bad. The key is like, how am I working with it? And so for me, with like technology specifically, like my phone and whatnot, at times I know I'm not working with it as best as I could, or at least I'm using it in such a way where it's like not really adding to me. I don't feel that sense of fulfillment. Like, think for example, like going on social media and doom scrolling. Although I personally don't deal with that, I'm also just like to binge watch a lot of YouTube videos that are just like pure entertainment and not enough content that's more inspiring and something that when I have, I have felt a sense of fulfillment. And so one of the things as I'm sharing all this, your feelings, how you feel. Do I feel content? Do I feel empty? Do I feel like something's missing? Do I feel like, think about, like, I feel hot, I feel cold. Like, these feelings are very important things to consider when it comes to like navigating things. Like, that's why this is why I understand that we have our answers within. Like, I remember this was shared with me, and it's because of through these experiences I'm like understanding. Oh, right, yeah, I really do have my answers within me. Damn. And it becomes this practice of like learning with the help of the people, working with tools. How can I bring out these answers within me that are already there? Because you are a soul with the physical body. I am a soul with the physical body. And with that, we're connected with everything. We're one with everything, one with the wisdom of the universe. In fact, we have souls on the other side who are assisting us, who are tapped into, who are just an immense library of wisdom available to us to help us in our daily life. Like, I kid you not. And so being immersed in this thing I'm doing, that at times I chuckle, like, again, like, I feel like my inner child is like freaking happy doing this, and that's how I know I've picked something that's actually really conducive to my time, really something that adds to me in my life. And when I know, like, and I trust that with anything that can add to your life, in my opinion, even if it's just something, a moment, how you spend your time for like a finite window of time, whatever activity or the thing that is that you do, go for a walk, paint, listen to something, lay down. It really doesn't matter if it adds that right there to me. Like, it'll, it'll help me in how I show up daily. And so with technology, man, it's and not even just that, and just also the environment, and it's just a lot of stuff. The environment in this, a lot of the world, most of the world's like going fast, 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 fast. There's like this antsy energy. Like, if I had to describe it, like breathing, that's how it is. And at times I find myself feeling that, because I, I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've probably felt this too. Is this, and that's because we're spiritually sensitive. We can pick up thoughts and feelings, yes, of people that are immediately close to us, but also those who are really sensitive can pick up things like in the bigger, greater environments. And that's just a thing. That's just something that I've learned in my experience of what I am, and navigating energy mastery 101. Energy being my own. I'm not here to master other people's energy. That's their responsibility. And so I'm glad, kind of enjoying my time with it. And, I'm getting to a spot where, like, for me, I've been setting aside some time to make sure I do it. And I think one of the reasons why I really enjoy it, and why that's such a powerful thing, is because if I'm doing something, and let's say if you're just thinking about something, doing something new, or you're already doing something new, and for me, if I'm enjoying it, like this harmonica, I find it a lot easier to set aside time. You know, it's and I think that's really what, I remember I was like listening to, something on YouTube. And I remember I was watching with this one YouTuber was talking about like procrastination or something, and and it was like saying that it's not procrastination. It's not a time management issue. And in fact, I want to say that it's not like I mean, I think there is a challenge that it is a time management issue. But like this person was saying, how like it's also like an emotional regulation issue. And I think being involved in something that's fulfilling to me, I think that in itself is kind of helping to regulate myself. And so I find myself be able to like work with my time better, manage my time better, rather than just like getting caught up with the next stimuli around the corner type of thing. And that stimuli being in my own pocket. You know, that, to me, that I think that's something to be very careful of and be very sensitive to. And why, if there's time for for you to even walk outside and detox from your phone, please, by all means, I encourage you to do that, because that will do so much. And I was going to say that's going to save you some time, actually, because I think that what I'm thinking about now is like when I think about the online space and what's going on, it's almost like there's a lot of that dysregulation going on in the ethers, in the internet ethers. all that's kind of running amok and whatnot. All this to say is like, don't be a part of the all that pollution of that antsiness and but instead like come back to the simplicity of beingness, just being. And that's actually what I experience when I'm playing the harmonica. I'm just being there. And that right there is so much power. That right there is just like I am radiating myself. I am expressing myself, and it ripples out to the environment. I love to think about this powerful visual that I love so much. It means so much to me. Of like, imagine just a drop of water, like dropping into a body of water, and it creates that ripple effect. To me, that has a lot of. I value the symbolism and the power behind that. And so when I'm just doing my thing, playing the harmonica, like I see my energy like that, and that can really, in a lot of ways, help affect the environment in so much such a way that it can help raise the energy. It can raise the vibration of the environment, and that's something that we need, really. Looking at it from the bigger picture perspective, looking at it from the loyalty from the bigger picture. We were, looking at it from, like, you could say, like, the whole planet, really. To society, neighborhood, like just the bigger picture, right? And we all are operating in that bigger picture as we're navigating through our own stuff. That's why we have three loyalties. We start with ourselves, and then our immediate families, friends, and colleagues, and then of course the big picture. Little tidbit there. My first loyalty is to myself. My second loyalty is to my smaller unit. My third loyalty is to the bigger picture. So that's something that how I carry myself and how I look at my relationships, and it all flows in that order. It's not like emphasis on just one and forget the rest. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not about this isn't narcissism or forgetting everybody else, because I'm here with everybody else. It's in my best interest to work with people, to share, to give of myself, to receive from others. All these things, it all has a place. So one of the words, like I'm doing this online little class, and one of the things I was sharing in that class, because there's a meditation we had to do where we tune into a key word to help us with our intentions in being in the online class series. And for me, what came up, and I talked about the harmonica, the key word for me was one, like as in like one with. And so the more I can practice that, the more I regain my own agency. Because in this day and age, what's so precious now is my energy and my attention. Your energy and your attention is freaking precious. And that's why, if you're listening to this part of the episode, and if you're tuning in, first of all, thank you so much. And second of all, that I always want to make sure that whatever it is that I'm putting my energy, where I'm leading myself, is to those things that add to my life. Whether it's like I can learn something, or something that I can just genuinely enjoy. Enjoy either by myself, or if it involves another person, with someone else, whatever the case may be. When I'm sharing for myself, but think about it for yourself and internalize what I've said so far for yourself in your life. Like leading, I think, I'm kind of getting that sense of the energy that we're currently in this month, because if you don't know, and if this is your first episode, you're just coming across this one, the theme of the current month we're in right now is leadership. That's the energy that we're all moving through, from the big picture, the collective. And if you want to know more about, because I do a meditation, again, if there's somebody listening to this for the first time, I do a meditation. If you look at the first couple episodes, for this one, it'll be June 2026 leadership. I'll talk more in depth about the spiritual theme of the month. So, but anyway, I'm recognizing more as I'm sharing these podcast episodes throughout the month, and recording them, and regrouping my experiences with you and sharing you what I'm pulling together for your own listening pleasure, and for your own awareness and insights for yourself. I'm just finding myself connecting back to, okay, how are these experiences related to the spiritual theme? And that's what I'm starting to recognize, and why I do those sections on the spiritual theme of the month, because, I would hope for people to actually, I would encourage people to re-listen to it, because sometimes nothing may come up or resonate. And then, especially if I'm listening to something and I listen to it a second time, then I start to notice something that I hadn't before. And that's only indicative of the dynamic growth process. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm noticing this because there's clues there for my spiritual journey. And invitation, an opportunity there for other people, for yourself. So whatever resonates with you, that is a very special and important clue for you, for diving deep within yourself. So I'm encouraging you, if you're someone that maybe you do play an instrument, or maybe you've thought about playing an instrument. I'm not, whatever the case may be, I encourage you to explore it and try it out and set some time. And I think in discussing all this, it's so important for me to really check in within myself and what I'm doing. Because if I'm doing something and I'm not feeling any sense of fulfillment, I need to check. I need to have the sincerity with myself and respect, really, to set aside time and do something about that. Okay, I'm not feeling fulfilled in this. What's going on? But at times, what I observe and what I do myself, I just carry on and just keep doing it, and I feel some type of way, and not necessarily my best. And then I'm just like, and then at some points I start to feel maybe a little bit frustrated. I might feel some like undertones of like resentment coming up. All of which because I never gave myself the time to check in. So just take some time and find something that and especially in this day and age, what helps you just to be in that embodiment of beingness and just being here. Think about your own unique life force energy expressed. And you're just being there. You're not having an agenda. You're not having to do anything. And it's not even about like you have to learn and grow something in the moment. It's just being there and expressing yourself in whatever form that takes. Even if it means just sitting still. Maybe you have a favorite spot in your home, or out in the neighborhood, or somewhere, maybe nature. It really doesn't matter. And maybe just simply just sitting there, meditating, eyes closed, or whatever. Like I said, it's not about performing or have to impress or do all these things. It's that what activities I can do where I'm just immersed in the moment, where time just starts to disappear and I'm just really immersed in the eternal now, which is really all that we have. We don't have no future or present, or past, excuse me. We don't have no future or past. All we have is the present moment. That will always be forever. The now, the beautiful now. And the more I can really allow myself, and that's the key word there, allow myself to be present, then I just discover how for me, what happens as natural byproducts of feeling joyful. Like I said, what stimulated this experience for me as of late, was playing the harmonica, really tuning into that feeling of being one. And when you have that feeling very clear, that's your barometer right there. And when something's off, and you'll know it, then that's the opportunity. Okay, what can I do about it to come back to that? Rhythms and routines. It's because we're playing the game of life day in and day out. This is a vital thing that helps me move through my day to day with high energy. It's how I'm able to move with more enthusiasm. My enthusiasm doesn't dwindle. And if it does, it's only for a moment, and it's because I'm going through something, and that's okay. We all have those moments, and that's okay. But the key importance for me is that I come back to my enthusiastic self, and that takes respect for myself, in my opinion, to address those things that's coming up for me. Again, I'm not assuming it's just so easy, and if anything, it's like the challenge, it's the kicker with the journeys that we're in, to actually face the feelings and be involved in stuff that's not so good. I'm just sharing you like kind of where I'm at right now with all the work that I've done. You're obviously not going to experience me in my process. That's the whole different story altogether. But it's happened, and I'm sure you've had your own process collectively of work that has led you to where you are right now currently. And I would appreciate all that, because like I said, there are a lot of things factors and things that is there to help contribute and add to my life, not the other way around, because of the support that's there. Be it music, or maybe you like to play, whatever. I encourage you to set some time for yourself to do that. And I think that's good practice of self-care, especially like with technology, to develop a better, healthy relationship. Because I'm not anti-technology, because I clearly use it and I need it. But it's like the solution to be able to work with technology better. And at times it requires, okay, I need to disconnect from you. I need space from you. And I need to be with myself. and just allowing that time, that some time for myself, me and myself, not worried about anybody else, is the one of is the one of is one of the most beautiful gifts that anyone can give to themselves, to be able to navigate the days, uh, to make it through daily life. But I'm saying this with like awareness, with tools and stuff. I know some people can struggle with like even with being with themselves, and that's again a whole another story. But I can't necessarily, to some degree, I can't relate to that. But like I said, but I have my moments of challenges though with myself. So again, this is, if this resonates with you, I encourage you to. I encourage you. If it doesn't, that's fine too. It's just like, as I always do with these episodes, take what resonates and leave the rest. And live your life, do your thing. I wish you the best. I just hope to give you something to add to your life, because you're spending your time and energy and attention here. That's always part of my intentions with this. So yeah, so being one with, learning a lot about that, and that's something that we're all continuing in our own ways, learning to do in this beautiful school we call Earth. Is learning to be one with. That's part of like what made. That's where our spirit guides were at some point when they were on the planet as well, trying to master themselves and their lessons. That's collectively, that's what how I show up and how I see the world. It's why we're all here, and why they're here to help us, uh, as guidance, as companions, to make this all work, to make the dream work. Like they're saying, like teamwork makes the dream work, and that's part of it. And it's really been a blessing for me, truly, truly in my life. So I'll leave it there for my friend, and I hope you got some things out of it. And whatever it is, just be, my friend. You don't have to prove anything, do anything. And any of those thoughts that come up, let them go, and just be immersed in whatever it is that captivates you, that even makes you curious. Like, ooh, what's that? Follow curiosity, follow anything that just stimulates your inner child. Think back to those days. That child, your childlike spirit is still there. It has never died. It hasn't disappeared. It might have been silenced or suppressed or quieted. But if you're at that point, I think it's time to allow it to share and communicate, to express, to be with it, to be with your inner child. So I think that's good for this episode here. I just thought I wanted to share this interesting experience, and who knows, we'll see where my harmonica playing will take me. So, and that's part of the magic and what I'm excited about, and whatever it is that's gets you excited and looking forward to, or gets you, and you and you enjoy actually doing it. More power to you, and yeah, have fun with it. As I was, and I'll end it here. Seriously, this time, as always been said, and I say here, if you're not having fun in your own life, you're doing it wrong. So even though I'm always like, I'm very some type of way when it comes to rights and wrongs, I want to be very aware. But like truly, like I think, and being able to enjoy the passage of time is something that I also learned as well. That's such a valuable thing, Especially like if I look back on my experiences, I'm like, where the regret can come in. Why am I not enjoying myself enough? So if you're listening to this, take some time to enjoy, be here, be present, be one. And then if you're already doing it, keep doing it, brother, sister, keep at it, And yeah, and I I don't know how to end it there, but from one to one, resonating, or at least I'm resonating with you from a distance. Even though I don't know who you are, but if you're listening to it, there's that resonance in some shape or form that exchanges between you and I. So this has been another episode of the Spiritual Engineer Podcast. I'm your host, Alvin Cepeda, signing out. And as always, take care, my dear friend.